Hello, everybody, and welcome to FourWheelTech for April 13th, 2025. It is Season 2, Episode 15. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the Sentient AI, we normally talk about 5 articles. Today, though, the Sentient AI isn't available. So here are the 5 that we're going to be talking about. Brand new 2023 cars. Yes, that's not a typo, 2023 cars. Maybe it is a typo. I don't know. They're referring to it as 2023 cars. 2025 Mini Countryman, 2025 Bronco Sport and its variants. How hot is too hot for transmissions, and the Mazda Sky Active. It's more than just marketing, apparently. At any rate, I am Mayor Watt and I run ohmtown.com. It's a news aggregation site that I use and have been using for a decade now. But I opened it up to the public, so go over and check it all out. There's 6 main categories, and that's what makes up the umbrella of our logo right there. And then the little white one there is all of the colors of the categories composited into one. So all the colors merged to one. It's white. Anyway, there's 50 channels, each one that has it's a little niche topic within these main categories, one of which is automotive, FourWheelTech. But we've got a bunch of other articles or a bunch of other channels, and 7 of them exist as podcasts as well. So there's 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and then a weekly one or a daily one called Non Sequitur News, which basically is a composite of everything that flows through ohmtown. So go over and check out ohmtown.com. That's where everything is aggregated, and all news, no noise, because all the noise just comes from me here during the streams. The streams are on Twitch and YouTube, so if you like one platform or the other, we're on both. Don't forget you can download the podcast later. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get all. I did 6 episodes today, so this is the 6th, and once they're saved and then re-uploaded over to YouTube, I actually make a composite of Non Sequitur News shows from the 6 shows. It's inside baseball. Anyway, come and hang out, and I'll see you here on the other side of our intro. So, FourWheelTech is all about automotive technology. It's kind of in the name, but we actually talk about all kinds of stuff, not just automotive, wherein it has 4 wheels. So I don't know. Maybe I'll end up changing the name at some point, but right now, FourWheelTech sounds like a great name. So if you want to host or co-host and you're really passionate about vehicles, automotive technology, then get in touch. Send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com, and we'll hash out the minutia of it. Because I'm always looking for a host or a co-host to bring the rest of the 50 channels. I can't do all 50, and they are weekly shows except for Non Sequitur News. So you only have to do it once a week, and be passionate about it, and talk your heart out for upwards of an hour. Doesn't need to be longer, but it's really up to you. That said, let's get into today's articles. They are largely found in the 4-wheel-tech category, and it's one of these up here. So go over to ohmtown.com and check it all out. That said, the first article is you can still buy a brand new 2023 Zero DRS-X, and you'll save $10,000 off MSRP. It's a 2023 though. So the Zero DSR-X is quite possibly the perfect commuter motorcycle, except for one fatal flaw: its cost. So Amber De Silva over at jalopnik.com put the article together. Most of these articles are actually from Jalopnik. They're kind of a juggernaut in the automotive news sector. But the Zero DSR-X is quite possibly the perfect commuter motorcycle, except for the fact that it's, well, expensive. And so all that adventure styling comes with ADV pricing and an MSRP of $23,000. Just push the bike out of reach of most commuting buyers. At least it sure seemed that way, judging by the number of still unsold 2023 models sitting on dealer floors with delivery mileage. So the bikes now abound for $8,000 to $10,000 off their original MSRP, which puts them toe-to-toe with gas-powered commuters, bikes that can't compete on efficiency, torque, or storage. A DSRX is a tough sell at over 20 grand, but at 13, it's within range, I suspect. So these bikes are now worth what dealers are asking. So they said that they were scrolling through their Facebook marketplace when they found a DSRX listing for $15,000. Seemed pretty good price. Made great when the bike turned out to be brand new. Not bad. So one for $14,000 in Massachusetts, another up by Buffalo, et cetera, et cetera. They're all over the place. One in Pennsylvania for $12,500. All brand new, just delivery miles. So if you're interested in that, then you can go and hunt these things down. They are zero emission bikes. So immediate on, you don't have to worry about spooling up anything. Go and check it out. It says dealers from Maryland and Texas and Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So go and check it out. It looks pretty. I like that bike. I'm actually considering getting... I used to ride motorcycles when I was younger, stopped for a long time, but I kind of like the idea of a zero emission bike. That's probably the one that I would get an EV motorcycle before I get an EV car. I would prefer it being a hybrid too, a hydrogen electric. But anyway, pretty cool. Go and check this out. 2023 Zero DRSX for $10,000 up to, and I'm sure nowadays it might be even more, depending on if you can haggle your way to getting more money off. They want to get these older ones out because people are like, well, why would I buy a brand new one? And that doesn't look good for a company. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in FourWheelTech. Oh, by the way, if you want all of today's articles, you can hit ! And then FWT. First one is free. I'll throw it into the chat over at Twitch. And Omatron will spit out the articles in the order that we're talking about them. There is no such feature over on YouTube at the moment, but all of the articles are already embedded in the description for all 3 of today's shows. In fact, all 6 of our shows have the articles embedded in their show notes, so go and check it out. Anyway, the 2025 Mini Countryman SE, it says whimsy doesn't make up for annoying. For its 3rd incarnation, the Mini Countryman now comes in an all-electric variant. The Countryman is Mini's take on the family car, a compact crossover with bold design both inside and out. At probably a time when far too many automakers are supersizing their vehicles, Mini's offerings are still right-sized, although they're chonky compared to their predecessors. Even if the Countryman is a bit bigger than the model it replaces, but at times you might feel left feeling that style took preference over substance. Having actually had a Countryman in my past, I dig the car, but man, their turbo always blew out. Maybe it's the way that I drove it, but I got burnt out on that. So Jonathan M. Gitlin put the article together. It has style, but it's also slow to charge, and the infotainment is laggy. Well, that sucks, and that may not be easy to fix at all. Could be a software issue, but whatever. All I want is a USB-C connector that I can just stick my phone or my tablet in and be done with it. All of the telemetry going in through an app. Get me away from all of the electronic crap in there. And if I take it, then, no, there isn't anything there. Nobody can steal my car because there's no device there that allows me to start the car up. Jonathan M. Gitlin again put the article together for arstechnica.com, and they got that nice green. But this is the electric version of it, which I'm not too keen on. 308 horsepower, 364 foot-pounds of torque, a 66.5 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery. Let's see. Based on the past few hundred miles, the test car that they spent a week with averaged 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour. Right? 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour? Why does it say 18.3 miles per kilowatt hour? It averaged, which should allow for 220 miles. 300. That must be kilometers. I don't know what they're talking about here. Anyway, I don't want to make an assumption, but at any rate, so 220 miles on a single charge, at least in good weather, and you're not supposed to charge it to 100%. So you're supposed to only charge it to 80% and keep it above 10%. So you just keep on bouncing, waffling between, that 10% and 80%. So you can never hit 220 miles. This is supposedly in the best case scenario, but it's a $45,000 car before tariffs are taken into account if it comes from a country that responded negatively to the tariffs. So who knows how much this damn car is actually going to cost, but I do not want to sit there and spend hours charging my car. I would love to have a Mini Countryman electric, but anyway, Mini quotes 30-minute time to charge fast from 10 to 80% at a peak of 130 kilowatts. In practice, they weren't able to get close. Nobody has ever been able to get close. This is like lab testing, It's just the perfect conditions. Temperature makes a difference in it. The quality of the connection makes a difference in it. Somebody having a bad day, looking at it sideways plays a role in charge rate. The first DC charger that they plugged into at just 16% state of charge wouldn't deliver more than 55 kilowatts. Swapping to a different charger, the rate increased to 67, but it still took over 45 minutes to hit 80%. That's batshit crazy. Level 2 AC charge at 9.6 kilowatt would completely charge the battery in 8 hours, Mini says. 8 hours! How absurd is this that the market actually buys into this? So anyway, they go on to greater detail about the minutia of the car. I've always loved the central console. I, again, would rather just have a place to put a smart device. Put your phone, put your tablet, Android phone, iOS phone, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just have the software on it that allows you to see all of this. I don't need everybody on the planet to see this thing. It doesn't need to be this giant radar dish in the center of the car, but you can have that aesthetic on an iPad and stick it in there, or some other tablet as your interface. It doesn't need to be embedded. Anyway, you can change all kinds of stuff. It looks pretty cool. I love the idea. Green is eco mode, which changes the throttle map and turns down the climate control to eke out a few more miles of range. They say they're not sure that they detected a huge amount of difference in the driving behavior between mid, core, vivid, timeless, or balance, but it did seem like the cream-colored retro dials and timeless, which call back to the original Minis of the 60s, which made the car... this car, you could probably put two 60s era Minis inside the cockpit of a conventional Mini Countryman now. So it says, now you're annoying me. Just like about every Mini that they've driven, they found the Countryman brakes a little too grabby in terms of initial bite. That also applied one pedal driving mode when the maximum amount of liftoff regeneration is selected. I would say that happens with when I had one as well. It says, in addition to the infotainment system lag, they had to reconnect their phone to the Mini's Bluetooth network every time they got in, which I found always frustrating. My car currently doesn't do that kind of stuff. In fact, I don't even want it to automatically connect, and it doesn't. The car also failed to remember any of the radio channels that they had set previously. It's possible that it was a consequence of using a guest profile for the entertainment system, which is probably true, but it's inconsistent with the behavior that they've experienced in the past, so they're calling it a bug. So the compact electric crossover market is not quite as well served by automakers as the luxury SUV segment. Mini Countryman's biggest problem is probably the Hyundai Kona EV, which not only goes a lot farther on a single charge, but also has a starting price that's more than $12,000 cheaper, albeit with about 100 horsepower to play with less. That puts the Mini style at one heck of a premium, though. Yeah. And I think that's absurd. 100 horsepower less, meaning that the car, 200 horsepower on an electric. it's still pretty zippy in its takeoff, but its upper level isn't going to be all that great. Just give me a bigger battery, I suspect. Maybe we can overcharge it. Hack that software so it puts the juice down a little bit faster. Anyway, let's move on. I just don't think that the market is right. The technology isn't there to get people to switch, and I don't want to be bound to a freaking cable. I don't want to have to sit for 8 hours to max my battery back up to full. I mean, it's a full freaking workday. How horrid is that if there's ever an emergency and I have to go a longer distance, I can't get the hell out of there because I have to wait for my battery to charge up. Otherwise, I have to stop 4 hours into a drive. It's just so stupid. Anyway, we need fast swap battery technology, and everybody needs to get on board with it. Everybody needs to demand it from every manufacturer. In fact, I would prefer to switch over to hydrogen electric. Just slide in a hydrogen cylinder and off we go. But whatever. I guess I'm the insane one. But we'll see. In 5 years, people are going to be going, hey, Mayor Watt really knew what he was talking about. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in FourWheelTech. 2025 Ford Bronco Sport Badlands Sasquatch can go way further off-road than anyone needs it to. If you're looking for a compact crossover with traditional SUV styling and real off-road chops, the updated Ford Bronco Sport is the car for you. See, I don't want the sport. I don't like the sport aesthetic. I do want a Ford Bronco, a 2025 Ford Bronco, but I want the original styling, not the sport. It says Brad Brunell over at jalopnik.com put the article together, and it says here, do you want a nondescript egg-shaped thing with a CVT, continuous variable transmission? Or do you want a real off-road capable machine with an unapologetically rugged SUV shape? And if you answered the latter, your choices are pretty limited to the Ford Bronco Sport. You might get close to with a Jeep Compass Trailhawk, a Toyota RAV TRD off-road, but the RAV4s, no. Or even a Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness, which that's probably closer to the Bronco. But the Bronco Sport, especially in its highest off-road Badlands trim with the optional Sasquatch package, has more chops than any of these. The problem here, though, is this car is probably $70,000, I'd say. But let's see how much they actually want for it. The base Bronco makes do with a turbocharged 1.5-liter 3-cylinder putt-putt, 181 horsepower, and they drove one and it served pretty well just to get you probably to the Starbucks and back, but you hit a puddle and it kind of goes, water. The Badland uses a version of the turbocharged 2-liter inline 4, also found in the Maverick and Escape, with 245 horsepower in this application. Twin clutch rear differential that made the Maverick Lobo so good is also employed in the Bronco Sport Badlands Sasquatch, but with different programming for more off-road capable driving. So they drove in the sand and over rocks. And I guess it really kind of did its thing, but they say it's overpriced. So let's see what that price actually is. The Bronco Sport Badlands that they drove will cost $50,000 with $3,000 Sasquatch off-road package and a few other options. That says with the $3,000, so $50,000. So if you don't need the moonroof, the stereo, graphic package, you can get a Bronco Sport Badlands for as little as $42,405, and the cheapest off-road version starts at $32,385. I don't know. For whatever reason, I don't like the Bronco Sport aesthetic. I like the Bronco, the original, like when it was re-released, and I think the Bronco is out still, but not the Sport. I don't want the Sport. I don't know. But it's got a different aesthetic, and for whatever reason, it's the one that sells, but I don't really like the Bronco Sport. I'd end up with one anyway. I'm actually looking at a Mini again, but I guess we'll see. But look at that. Man, these pop-out tie-downs? What the hell? Interesting. Yeah, every article you're going to hear, you're going to sit there and hear about Tariff World. So there are, that's what it's talking about. There are a matching pair of D-rings on the rear bumper that you can use to tie off the rear of whatever it is you're strapping down, and double as hard tow points if you bite off more than you can chew off the road. So pretty cool. That is a gorgeous color of green too. My. Skid plate, tubular bumper, tubular dude. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in FourWheelTech as well. How hot is too hot? What's a normal transmission temperature and why it might run high? Aggressive driving, towing, excessive loads can all put strain on your transmission. How do you know when things are getting dangerous? Well, you don't put a little sticker over that damn blinking light, that's for sure. The author of this over at Jalopnik is Jason Marker, and it says, in general, the safe heat range for a vehicle transmission is roughly the same as the safe heat range for its engine, between 175 and 225 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything more than that, and you're looking at damage to the transmission's internals. How hot is too hot, though, and what happens when a transmission overheats? You know, stuff around it might catch fire. I don't know. I don't think a transmission would catch fire in and of itself, but the stuff around it might. So there's all kinds of reasons why it could. I won't go into all of that because it's over at the article, but it says an overheating transmission will slip, bang, make weird noises, hesitate, smell awful. That's the one that would give it away. It gives off this toxic smell. If your vehicle exhibits any of those behaviors, pull over ASAP, check your transmission fluid, but be careful. Everything could be hot, and if you well, just be careful. I'll just say that. So if the fluid is low, discolored, smells burned, let the vehicle cool down a bit and then get it to the shop without delay. If you're lucky, you'll just need a transmission flush and some fresh fluid to fix the problem. But that's usually if it's caught in time and there isn't some underlying problem. But usually if you've gotten to this, then you're probably going to need something more like a transmission rebuild. So if you want to keep your transmission from overheating, the best bet is a transmission cooler, which is like a tiny radiator that you get on your gearbox. But most cars do not need that. So evaluate just exactly what it is you're driving and how you're driving it. Because if your transmission needs a cooler, you're doing something. Or there's a mechanical failure. There's way too much friction. There's way too much pressure. Something is causing your transmission to go wonky. So definitely... It's got the transmission is built to match the drivetrain, so you don't sit there and blow it out because it's all matched together. You're using your car for the wrong purpose. So a lot of cars come with them, especially high performance cars or towing rigs, but you can usually get one from an aftermarket and have it installed. It just kind of clamps on and keeps it cool. Other than that, make sure that you keep your vehicle maintenance up. So this is kind of like No Shit News at 6:32 Eastern on FourWheelTech. Anyway, thanks, Jason Marker. If you want more information about this, follow the link over to Jalopnik. And we're going to do this last article. This last article for FourWheelTech for the April 13th episode is why Mazda Skyactiv engine tech is more than just branding. As more than just a Mazda seal of approval, the Skyactiv engine offers technical advancements that includes an impressive and competitive combustion ratio. But what does that really mean to anybody? Ryan Eric King put this article together. That is a gorgeous red for this CX-30. Oh my God, I want a different color car. So from Ford's EcoBoost to Audi's Quattro, the world is filled with trademark terms intended to put a unique selling point on the automaker's vehicles front and center. Mazda Skyactiv is no different. Sort of. The easiest place to start with Skyactiv is the beating heart of any internal combustion engine. The engine, or vehicle. The engine. Mazda aimed to combust fuel with each cylinder as efficiently as possible to aid the process and prevent knocking. Cavities are carved out in the pistons, and the multi-hole fuel injectors are used to ensure precision. The Skyactiv G family of engines, launched in 2011, has extremely high compression ratios, as high as 14-1. For comparison, General Motors' current LS motors, Corvette, have compression ratios settled around 10 to 1. Let me see who all has. Just want to see what all. Yeah, those are V8 engines, the LS engines. That's interesting though, because I thought, well, I don't know anymore. Depending on that, like a small block engine. So LS1, Chevy Corvette, Camaro, Silverado, Escalade. Yeah, so quite a few. But this is about Mazda. So Mazda claims that its initial Skyactiv transmission offered 4 to 7% improvement in fuel economy, and the Skyactiv body is 8% lighter and 30% more rigid than compared to previous designs. It attempted to make each section of the frame as straight as possible. So they made it lighter. So it took over 130 patents to cover the technologies used in the original Skyactiv engine, and Mazda hasn't stopped pushing for more efficiency. In 2017, Mazda revealed that the Skyactiv X engine was the first commercially available power plant to use spark-controlled compression ignition. An innovative process combines elements of both gasoline and diesel-fueled engines. During the engine cycle, the initial fuel-air mixture is too lean to spark ignition. However, near the top of the compression stroke, additional fuel is injected near the spark to quasi-kindling to kickstart. That's kind of when they were talking about this in the previous sentence. I was like, okay, well, the only way that if you don't have enough fuel-air mixture to spark ignition, you have to increase the compression, and then you basically have to squirt a little bit of juice in there, and the spark will ignite. So as long as the fuel air mixture is high enough. So the engineering artistry isn't meant to pull dollars out of wallets. In European regulators found that 2-liter inline-4 Skyactiv engines could get 50 miles per gallon in the Mazda 3. So time to update your Mazda to, well, a more modern Mazda 3 with Skyactiv X, because 50 miles per gallon is great. Now make it hybrid, and I'm on board. So I want to be able to just put 5 gallons into my ICE component, and it charges my battery, and I run off of battery. And I can go for miles and miles and miles. The best of both worlds. The efficiency translated into electric, so that I'm not waiting for compression to spool up so that I can drive. That's kind of the biggest fallback. It's such a drag. The physics of an internal combustion engine is still like 8 to 1. You put in 8 and you only get 1 out on the other side. But at any rate, that is it for today's 4WheelTech. So a couple of PSA things, go check out the Skyactiv for Mazda. Pay attention to your transmission. Most people don't even care about it until it basically wets the bed. Bronco Sport Badlands is pretty hype, but is it worth the money? I don't like the aesthetic of the Bronco Sport. I love the Bronco, but not the Bronco Sport. I want a Countryman, but not this, because it's electric and I don't want to sit around for 8 hours each day waiting for my damn car to charge up. And I'd love to get an electric motorcycle. Just sounds like it would be a blast. All right. Anyway, that's it for FourWheelTech. We've driven all the way back to the welcome sign of FourWheelTech at ohmtown.com. Go over and become a citizen. But I'm going to get out of here. My voice is going wonky. So we'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. And that'll that'll probably be it. So be sure to like and subscribe, follow us over on YouTube and on Twitch, and download the podcast and all of that kind of stuff. I think I've said this like 15 times in this episode alone. Anyway, thanks for coming and hanging out. See you in a little bit. Bye-bye.